Hey everybody, DM Jim here, and welcome to another episode of Game Terrain Engineering. In this episode, I'm not really making a project. It's the end of 2017. The Christmas holidays are upon us. My boys are out of school, and they're upstairs with their friends making a lot of noise, so you may hear them in the background. In this episode, I wanted to talk to you about 2018. I also want to talk to you about our hobby. I am an RPGer. I love role-playing games. I'm also a war gamer. I like war games. And I like board games. I like games. I like video games. I don't play them very often, rarely, but I get it. Gaming, is wide and encompassing. Lots of different styles of games out there that we all like to play. But what I specifically want to talk to is I want to talk to the RPG players and the war gamers. With 2018 coming up, we have a really good opportunity here to do quite a few things. Those of you who play RPGs and board games and war games, you probably have noticed over the last, 3 to 5 years, maybe longer, that there has been this rise in popularity of gaming. Board gaming more specifically. Board gaming is huge right now. Kickstarter is just, flooding the market with new board games, and that's not a bad thing. Gaming right now is hot, and I think RPGs and war games are, riding the coattails, so to speak. I mean, they've grown in popularity. I know that I've seen more new faces at Wednesday night game night for Dungeons and Dragons. I've also seen a lot of new faces at my local gaming stores. I frequent more than one. And I see a lot of new players, a lot of new games getting played, especially war games. The new version of Warhammer's out. There's the Necromunda and Shadespire, and it's just a great time right now to be a war gamer and an RPGer, because it just seems like the new games are just coming out left and right. Now, one thing I noticed, this has been a couple months back. I was at one of the gaming stores in particular, and I just happened to look around at the audience that was there. And I noticed a lot of, let's just say 30, 40-year-old plus men. That's our hobby. We tend to be the ones that frequent the gaming stores. Now, there were women there. There were some teenagers there, but not a lot. And I'm not saying that we need to encourage that. I think we do. We do need to encourage women and children to play more games. But we need to encourage players to come to our hobby. Right now, board games and war games and RPGs are very popular. But the one thing I'm not noticing, or at least in my neck of the woods, is I'm not noticing a lot of younger generations, or the younger generation, playing these games. My son, my 10-year-old, has played D&D, and he has played some war games with me, and he likes them. But he favors video games. But he is also starting to not turn away from video games, but he's starting to see some of the problems I saw with video games many years ago when I played, and that was just the negativity of video games. Trolling, it just never ends. You get on a game, and there's always somebody that wants to ruin it for everybody, or more than one. There's always somebody that's, using just foul language beyond belief, and I'm not easily offended, but, when I'm playing with my son, I don't need them listening to that. I don't want to be listening to it. There's always somebody that's trying to ruin it for everybody, and it's basically what's turned me off on the multiplayer video games. Now, there are video game companies out there that are trying to fix these problems. They're eliminating cheaters, and maybe they're doing some more heavy moderation, but I'm not seeing it. Some of the video games that I enjoyed playing, every now and then I'll get in there and try them again, and it's still there. Troublemakers. I think one of the problems with video games is that you're just a name on a screen. Maybe you have your voice through a microphone or whatever, but nobody knows you. There's no punishment for bad behavior unless the company is enforcing it or the servers are enforcing it. But with board games and role-playing games and war games, you're standing around your peers. If you're being a jerk, if you're, ruining the game, people are going to take notice, and they're not going to want to play with you. I've seen it at some of the local gaming stores I frequent. You know, there are players that just seem to be over the top, aggressive. They take the fun out of it. And inevitably what happens is you just stop seeing them because nobody wants to play with them. Word gets around, or people identify them, and, you know, nobody will give them the time of day. But with video games, it's hard to do that. There's such a wide range of players, and the numbers are so great that it's hard to, you know, police that kind of locale. But with our games, with our hobbies, we have the opportunity to not only police ourselves, but we have the opportunity to grow our hobby right now, because the interest is high. And so what I want to do here in this episode is I want to encourage you in 2018. You know, we need to try and grow our hobby. Whether you play board games or war games or role-playing games, this is your chance to, you know, grow our community and invite your friends, invite your family members to come and play. I love inviting new players to come and watch. A lot of times they don't take me up on it, but the offer is there. And I love playing new games. I try to always learn new games, and I meet new players that way. But I think in 2018, what I would do is I would challenge you to examine where you are in your hobby. Do you enjoy it? Do you want it to stick around? Do you want it to be here in another 10 or 15 or 20 years? If that's the case, we are going to have to start looking at how we get a younger audience back in the onto the gaming table. As I mentioned, my two boys love video games, and it's very hard to get them away from the video games. They enjoy that. That medium. But I do know that when my oldest has played war games or board games and D&D, he's loved it, and he's asked to play again. I think it's a matter of just getting them to the table. There is something about being able to view your fellow players, being able to talk to them, rolling dice. You know, everybody loves to roll dice. I've tried digital dice on my phone. It's just not the same as having your dice out. Moving miniatures around, whether it's a board game or a war game or a role-playing game. There's something fun, there's something, you know, about holding an object, a dice or a die or a miniature in your hand. Something about consulting maybe a rule book. A lot of people like that kind of thing. I'm hoping that our hobby is going to continue to grow. I recently did a Google search on, you know, the popularity of gaming, and you name the genre, and people are finding it. D&D is hot right now. It went for a long time where it was just those of us who knew about D&D, and but now new players are going, hey, I remember hearing about that when I was in school. And, you know, being a geek, being a nerd these days seems to be the cool thing. I mean, you know, the TV shows, the Marvel movies, you know, they've brought a new audience, a new type of player to the game who is no longer looking at our hobby as nerdy or geeky. And maybe they still are, and if they are, that's fine. But the key is they're starting to realize that, hey, we're all having fun. Those people are having fun. I don't know what they're doing, but I want to be part of it. I want to watch these shows. I want to play these games, and we need to welcome them to our hobby and make them feel welcome and not poke fun at them. We certainly don't need to be calling them newbies. I hate that term. You know, beginner player is fine, but newbie is so negative. I've heard that term used at the local gaming store. Oh, he's a newbie. He's new to the, you know, whatever. Let's try and make people welcome to our hobby, because the alternative is those of us who are getting older, you know, if we don't have younger players coming into it, the game companies are going to get fewer and fewer. They're going to offer fewer and fewer products. It's all, you know, it's economics, and we need to make sure that there is a younger audience that's going to come up and fill the void. You know, gamers die. You know, some of the people I played with when I was in middle school are now in their 80s and 90s. I see some of them occasionally at Gen Con and other places. They're getting old, and they're not going to be around with us forever. And for us to keep our hobby alive, we've got to fill the ranks. And I think the only way to do that is to encourage more people to come and try out gaming. If they try it and they don't like it, hey, you did your best. But I've seen very few people come to, say, the D&D table and not have a blast. As a matter of fact, this is Friday. On Wednesday night, I had two new players at my table, a father and a son. He was in 4th grade. And they had a good time. Now I was DM, and I hope they had a good time, but they were smiling and laughing, and the son actually saved the night. I mean, I had a zombie T-Rex, which I don't have to show you here, that attacked the party in the jungle, and he made the killing shot, and it made his night. And I hope that kind of memory will bring him back. 4th grade. I think he said he was 10, 9. But I think he had a good time. And I know he liked having his dad there. And that was really nice to have at the table. We've got to do this. Whether it's war games or role-playing games. If whatever your hobby or both, you need to find a way in 2018 to start helping to promote our hobby. If all you do is make terrain, great. Start a channel like I've done and start sharing what you do. You may have noticed that the number of channels related to game terrain has started to increase. I know I'm finding more and more weekly. There just seems to be a new one popping up all the time. And again, I've mentioned in previous videos, this is not a problem. This is a good thing that people are starting to share their hobbies and what they like to do. This new guild, the Tabletop Guild, Tabletop Crafting Guild, that Jeremy and Bill and DM Scotty and DMG Info have started. This is going to be incredible. I think this is going to be a really good thing for our hobby. It's going to bring new people. They're going to see these crazy things that we, make for our gaming table, and they're going to be interested. I know the other night when I put all my terrain down, this father and son were blown away. They'd never seen that before. The son asked me where I bought the stuff, and I told him, I said, I make it, and I showed him the foam and the paint and everything like that. And he thought it was just the coolest thing ever. So did the dad. But this is something I do every week for my players. But it was nice to see new players go, wow, that's pretty slick. And of course, when I pulled out the zombie T-Rex, they almost lost it. But coming back to the primary point of this episode, let's try to grow our community in 2018. Let's take, gaming right now is hot. Let's strike while the iron is hot. Let's start inviting more people to come and play. Let's, schedule events. If you like to play a certain game, contact your local gaming store and see if they are willing to help you promote it. There's a free RPG day coming up in 2018. Invite anybody you know. Say, hey, come check it out. Come play an RPG. No cost to you. I'm hoping that we're going to get a free wargaming day. I don't think there is one right now. I know there's a free comic book day and a free RPG day, and there may be a board game day. I think it's called Tabletop, International Tabletop Day. But as far as wargaming, I don't know if we have a free wargame day. We should look into that. I'm rambling. I'm going on here, and I apologize, but I just feel very strongly about this. I love my hobbies. I've loved gaming since I was in middle school, probably earlier. It satisfies me. It scratches an itch. There's something about the creative aspect of it that I just enjoy, and I'll always be playing games. And I want my hobbies to be around for my sons if they choose that they'd like to play these games. But for anyone, I want our hobbies to survive, and I think that means getting new players into the game, showing them how much fun it is, and making sure they feel welcome and that they know that they are not going to be mistreated or made fun of. So anyway, that's about all I've got. I'm looking at a list here, apologies, of the things I wanted to talk about. My 3D printer is still dead. The poor thing is sitting over there without an extruder. The extruder is supposed to be here in 2 or 3 days, so I'm hoping to get it replaced over the holidays. Christmas is just a few days away, and that's going to be my Christmas present to myself, getting my 3D printer back up and running so I can get this project that I really want to share with you guys. So anyway, invite a friend, play some war games, play some RPGs, play some board games in 2018, and thank you to all of my subscribers. I hope you're enjoying some of the projects that I'm sharing with you. I love your comments. I read them all. I read your emails. I've got a lot of new ideas for 2018 that some of you have submitted. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? I've got a list, and I'm just going to start trying to go down the list as I can. But 2018 should be a good year. I'm not saying I'm going to put out 50 or 52 videos, one a week, but I'll certainly try. And I'm still enjoying this hobby, and I want it to stay put, and I want it to always be here for me and my kids. I want it to be here for you. So anyway, this is DM Jim, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Have a great, happy holiday and a safe holiday, especially if you're traveling. And I am going to be spending some time with my family Christmas week. Probably will not be able to do a video, but I will be back. So if you don't see me next week, look for me in the first week of 2018, and I will see you then. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.